What is going on, boys? Welcome back to Monday Morning Quarterbacks Podcast, episode 36. It is NFL Week 14. We got Josh in the top left, Big P in the bottom left, Connor in the bottom right, and myself in the top right. How we doing, boys?
Great. What are you
Great
drinking
day.
there, Connor? Is that a chocolate milk you do?
Jockey milk, yep.
Great day. So nice to see Connor's lovely face. Missed it. Hi, Connor.
It was Thanksgiving Eve last time, so yeah, I was.
It was.
Solid. How was everyone's Thanksgiving? 3 of us were together for Thanksgiving. How was your Thanksgiving, P?
That was great. Had a great time.
That's good.
So hung out with the parents, ate all the classics, lived the American dream.
Speaking of Thanksgiving, let's hop right into the Thanksgiving Day
Get it.
games.
Let's get it.
Do we just want to get the Lions-Bears game out of the way and Eberflus getting fired and just the debacle
Probably.
that was?
Yeah, I mean, it was the 12 p.m. game. Start with it.
It's just shocking that a quarterback and a coach combo, you got 32 seconds, and you literally let the clock just run for 24 seconds. Caleb Williams is changing the play at the line. Eberflus is just sitting there watching the clock tick, tick, tick. How do you not, like, after 15 seconds of that, just timeout? Let's figure something out here. We still have 15 seconds. We could run a play and spike it still, kick a field goal, go to OT. I just don't even understand how you let that happen. Like, what are you doing in practice? Are you not doing 2-minute drills in practice? Like, is this not? It's insane. I've never seen anything like that.
There was an interesting bit of context that I picked up. If you earlier that drive, Caleb was getting the guys to the line, and there was 1 second left, and a timeout came from the sideline, and you could just tell Caleb was throwing his fit. He was upset that the timeout got called, and I think that was in their heads. And they're like, wow, well, we just called a timeout 2 minutes ago, and Caleb got all pissy with us. If Caleb wants a timeout, he'll take one. Let's not take the timeout and put it on Caleb, which is exactly what Eberflus did after the game. Put it on Caleb. But guess what? You can't put it on your young franchise quarterback. You got to take some of that heat off. But it was weird. It was very weird.
I think Caleb was the only person in that stadium and watching from the couches that did not realize the time was ticking away.
Literally.
Kind of crazy. I mean, if you're a rookie quarterback, I don't care. That's crazy for that much time to tick off.
It's not like he's never played football. Like, people throw around rookie quarterbacks like they've never played. This guy played football his entire life. He grew up watching football his entire life. It's common sense. As someone that who just played at a high school level, I know to call a timeout. It's not
Literally.
People are like, oh, he's a rookie. Like, the coach has got to do it. Like, sure. But if the coach isn't doing it, you got to have some common sense as well and be like, you should probably call a timeout here.
Or just
Clock's ticking.
Right.
It's
or
crazy.
just snap the ball.
Well, what Eberflus was saying was, he's like, okay, we told him to run the same play, get up to the line, snap it immediately.
Yeah.
Caleb's audible.
There was no immediate.
He's trying to get people set up. We're trying to change the play. The clock's come on now.
Dude.
You're in NFL.
Also,
this is NFL.
Also,
NFL.
throw a quick hitter over the middle, slide down and take your timeout. He's
Dude,
dropping
they
back,
could have
looking around,
ran
and bomb deep.
2 plays. They could have ran the ball up the middle for 5 yards, timeout, quick out, 3 yards, field goal, bada boom. Dude, the possibilities were endless, and the fact that they just let 30 seconds milk and chuck it was just the most insane thing I've ever seen.
If there's one
Yeah,
team,
One play.
if there's one team I'm glad that happened to, it was hilarious to watch it happen to the Bears, though. Shout out.
I love to see it. I wish it was against.
I
any
loved
team.
every moment, but still.
Would have been nice to
Yeah,
see the
like you
Lions.
said, it definitely falls on both Caleb and Eberflus. But like I've been saying for the last 2 years since we started the podcast, that Eberflus is not going to last in Chicago. They hired him from the Colts. He was a Colts defensive coordinator, and when they hired him as the head coach, I was shocked because in Indy we didn't really like him as a D coordinator. So I think this just highlights how bad of a hiring it was, how big of a mistake it was. There was talk that they were going to fire him after last year, so he wasn't going to make it. Even if he didn't get fired yet, he wouldn't have made it after this season. So just a shit show in Chicago for real.
Staying
real.
on the NFC North topic, we'll head over to the other Thanksgiving night game. Packers Dolphins. Packers rolled. Dolphins just cannot. It was kind of like a
cold,
joke
man.
narrative all week. Like, oh, like Tua can't play in the cold. Dolphins aren't a cold weather team.
We said
They're
it in the pod.
they're looking to kill some narratives. They were excited to play in the cold. They're like, okay, let's bring it on. And they just looked like they did not want to be there. On the broadcast, I think they said they brought over 600 pounds of cold
Yeah,
weather equipment.
something crazy, yeah.
And the Packers just showed up. I mean,
like
it was a home
40
game, so it makes
shipping
sense.
containers.
But it's not like Jordan Love was in short sleeves. Like most of our guys were. It's
Mhm.
not like we were like bundled up. Like it wasn't even that cold. It was like a 25-degree game. Like that's just
Right.
standard Lambeau football. And they just, I mean, Tua did sling it well, but most of that was in irrelevant time of the game. Like if you look at his stats, it looks really good. But I mean, when you were just behind by 3 scores the majority of the game, the Packers are just kind of letting you throw it underneath to run some clock off. But, I mean, we look good. I was happy with that result as a Packer fan.
The funniest thing that came out of that game was Mike McDaniel's like shaking on the sideline with the play sheet.
I think he was
I don't know if you guys
I think he just had the shakes because he hadn't hit his jewel in like
Yeah,
a couple plays.
he hasn't vaped
He's
in
a
2
fiend.
years. He quit nicotine after that, he said. After he got caught on the sideline doing that.
hmm Well, he was I don't know if you guys know this. He was a raging
Yeah, he's-
alcoholic.
Mhm.
Like had a huge problem and like it was affecting his personal life like drastically. And he's clean
While
now,
he
and
was an assistant coach, right?
Mhm.
Like for Houston or something. Yeah.
he's under that tree where with like LaFleur and Shanahan and all those guys. I guess we'll touch on the Chiefs Raiders game, that Black Friday game. I mean the Chiefs are just inevitable.
They keep doing it.
They will never cover, but they will win.
Them in Minnesota, same
Yeah.
boat. Like
Yeah.
every game, it's like, how are they winning?
They just
They're getting the
keep
job
winning.
done.
Yeah.
They do.
Falcons.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, I kind of called for it a little bit last week. I think it's Penix's time to shine. Kirk Cousins hasn't thrown a touchdown in 3 games, and he's thrown 7 interceptions.
Yeah.
I think it's Penix time.
I mean, yeah, we did. We did have the full conversation last week about it, and it's got to be getting hot in Kirk Cousins' room.
Next game, I mean, Steelers-Bengals, just absolute shootout. You got to feel for Joe Burrow being able to put up 35-plus every week, and they just lose every week.
Yeah.
Steelers
Maybe they just-
are just
are-
legit, too.
I think it was 2 podcasts ago. I mentioned every time the Bengals play a competent opponent, you can go back and look. They lose. The games that are like against good opponents, they'll never win, but they'll blow out teams like Tennessee and stuff. So I think they've been frauds all along.
They aren't even winning those games. They're 4-8.
No.
Yeah,
they started off the
losing.
season
They're
losing.
losing a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
they're losing. They're 4-8. I haven't looked through their schedule of who those losses came against, but I'm sure there's some bad teams in there. They
Early
got 8
in the
losses.
year,
New England was week 1. They played New England week 1 and got smacked, which is crazy because I think Jacoby Brissett was the quarterback at the time.
They're a flashy team that has a lot of like big name players, but their defense just cannot get a stop to save their lives. And it's, I mean,
Yeah.
and as good as Burrow's been, he hasn't had the clutch drives at the end of games to win them the games.
Yeah.
I need help on defense.
T. Higgins and Jamar are just balling though, so that's kind of fun for
Crazy.
fantasy owners.
Where's
Yeah.
T. Higgins going next year?
Packers, honestly.
Ravens?
That's what everyone's saying is he's going to the Packers next year.
Hmm.
I think he's gonna go to the Ravens.
We don't really, I don't know, we don't do a lot of moves like that, but it'd be sick. You wanna
Deontay
touch-
Johnson's so good there, so they might as well get more receivers.
Yeah, one game suspension for Deontay Johnson. Refused to go in the game. He basically they asked him if he wanted to go in basically like when their game was over, and he was like, "Nah, I'm good, boss." And then just stayed on the sideline and got a 1-game suspension for conduct detrimental to the team. So, great trade by them. Really glad they can utilize him in that offense.
Oh
You,
god.
you want to touch on your Colts quick, Connor, and then I don't know if there's any other games you guys really want to touch on. Touch on the Eagles game maybe after that.
Yeah, so with the Colts, I got to see the end of the game live, but wasn't able to watch the entire thing, so I went back and watched the tape. I think Anthony Richardson's one of those quarterbacks where you can't look at the box score and judge his play just based off the stats.
It's
I
really
think
fun to do though.
completion percentage game. But when you go back and watch it, I mean, he looked accurate. I think every quarterback's gonna have a couple of throws that they miss. I think Josh Allen even has a couple of throws a game where he wants it back. But he looks so much better than he did at the beginning of the season. He looks kind of like how he did last year. So it's encouraging. He's definitely the answer in Indy. I think a lot of Colts fans were kind of split on that, but I think we're kind of in unison now that Anthony Richardson is the answer. In terms of this season, we pretty much have to win out to make the playoffs. We technically have the easiest schedule left in the NFL. So if we can beat the Broncos and win out after that, we should make the playoffs, which is crazy. No one thought we'd be talking about playoffs here in Week 14 with the Colts, but here we are. I don't know, not a good team, but hope we get in.
Broncos are tough.
Broncos will be, that'll be a tough game.
Aaron Rodgers lost again. Poor you. I honestly feel so bad. Like,
I like it. I think
with his big Netflix documentary premiering at the end of this month too. Have you guys seen the trailer for that?
Yeah, I was watching McAfee yesterday.
I saw
where they
people
talked
talking about it.
It looks absolutely insane. He's like in tribes in other countries, and they all have their faces painted, and they're like dancing in circles, and he's like drinking mystery fluids, and it looks very, it looks very interesting to say the least. But I mean, obviously, Rodgers was my childhood. I love that guy, but it's kind of tough to not see him necessarily go out like this. But I don't know. It's just tough to see.
He'll be on the Vikings next year in the championship.
Favre struggled on the Jets too. People forget that gap year when he was on the Jets. He struggled there. Only other game I really want to touch on, Eagles-Ravens. Eagles are scary, man.
Their defense, I can't believe how good their defense is.
Jalen Hurts doesn't even have to throw the ball.
That big boy is crazy. Saquon's on a legacy. He might break the rushing record this year. He's on pace. He's on pace to break it.
Jalen Carter is just an absolute monster.
Yeah, I shouted him on the podcast that he's going to change that game, and that's exactly. I mean, you can't run straight into him. He's literally just changes the game.
Yeah, he's a monster. Eagles are just. I think it's a three-headed. A lot of Vikings fans are really salty because they like to play the record game, but there's three in my mind. There's three realistic Super Bowl teams in the NFC. And it's the Packers, Lions, and Eagles. And Falcons, maybe if Penix gets in at QB and is like him.
Not going to happen.
Long shot Falcons. But I don't see another team coming out of the NFC other than those. Vikings are just complete frauds. They do not. I would love to play the Vikings in the playoffs. That'd be a dream matchup.
Two games that I think we should just make a quick comment on. The Buffalo-San Francisco game is crazy. I think the San Francisco dynasty has finally fallen. I think Shanahan even admitted that in a press conference that it's just not the same team as it once was. So don't have to worry about San Francisco anymore, especially with McCaffrey being out for the year, probably the rest of his career, to be honest. And then obviously the Cleveland-Denver game was one of the most entertaining games I've seen in a long time. That was the most Jameis Winston game I've ever seen in my life. I think Judy went off for like 250, but that was fun.
Revenge game. Lord, deliver me from these pick sixes. You see that post game?
Yeah.
That's great.
I love James, man.
How can you not love that guy? You do feel for him. I mean, how do you throw for 500 yards, 4 touchdowns, and then also 2 more touchdowns to the opposing team? I mean, just what a stat line. He's electric every week, and Josh Allen and the Bills are just on another level in the AFC right now. They're so good.
Are the Browns taking a quarterback? They have to, right? You can't. Are you gonna start just?
I don't know.
I feel like they have so many needs.
Mid to late, maybe but they keep doing that, right? They have DTR still, and it's like how many mid quarterbacks do you draft to not be good and sit behind Deshaun and then turn out to be bad? It's tough. They have decisions to make in Cleveland this offseason for sure.
Alrighty, boys. That is week 13 in the books. Let's hop on over to week 14 in the NFL. Starting off with probably the game of the week on Thursday Night Football.
Gonna be like?
We got the Packers at the Lions. Lions are -3, over under 51.5.
51.5.
We'll go. We'll do best to worst record. So Josh or Connor, you can start us off, and then
I'll start because
Josh, Connor, me, P.
I think the Packers are gonna win this one. 31-17 score prediction.
Score prediction.
I think the Lions, this could start like a 4 out of the 5 losses for the Lions. They're playing some tough teams coming up. The Niners collapsed. That's why I say 4 out of 5, but this could start a nice little slide for the Lions. So I like the Packers here. A lot of injuries on the Lions, and they're going to let you know that they have tons of injuries.
I've already heard all the excuses all week. It's actually hilarious. Lions fans are already mentally prepping themselves for a loss this week. And then they're like, but if we do beat you, we're just that good. That's how they preface it. And I'm like, come on.
Oh, we have so many injuries.
Every team in the NFL has injuries. Come on. Jair's out. Romeo Dobbs is out. Great teams find a way to not make excuses. Great teams overcome. Let's see if you guys are a great team.
Yep, Jake, you just took the words right out of my mouth. Dobbs is out, Alexander's out, and then obviously the Lions got a whole concoction of injuries. I think this one's truly a toss-up. I think I'm going to side with the Lions here just because they're at home. But it should be a fun game.
It's in Lambeau, right? No, it's in Detroit again. Gotcha.
Which, honestly, I think that works out better for the Packers. I feel like we play better in Ford Field than we do at Lambeau in the past, 5 years at least. But I feel really good about this game. I'll also throw a score prediction out there. I threw it out on Twitter earlier. I think it was 34-21 I predicted was the score. And Jared Goff, at least an interception, and Jordan Love, at least 3 passing touchdowns. Jaden Reed and Amon-Ra have this little, it's not even really a beef, but Jaden Reed went on their podcast and they were talking about Amon-Ra was like, oh yeah, I'm going to Lambeau Leap at Lambeau again this year. And then Jaden Reed's like, I'm going to Lambeau Leap in Ford Field again this year. Because I don't even think he Lambeau Leaped last year, but he did score a tutty. So I think Jaden Reed's got a little extra chip on his shoulder this week. Xavier McKinney, in reference to Amon-Ra in interviews this week, was basically like, yeah, we're not worried about Amon-Ra, which I don't know why he keeps doing this kind of stuff. But Amon-Ra responded saying he's not worried about him. So nobody's worried about anyone. So we'll see who's the least worried and who picks up the W here. Give me the Packers.
Yeah, I don't know. This was going to be so interesting. I mean, I see it being very offensive. I think the Packers' difference is their run defense, and I think it's obviously going to be tested against that two-headed monster, but I think they're up to the challenge, and I think they definitely win the pass rush category too. They're going to force some quick passes, which is fine because that's what Jared Goff does, but I think the defense is going to pull out for Green Bay and win this one. I think Detroit is a great team, and I don't think they should be discredited for what they're doing and how they're playing through the adversity, through the injuries, and how Goff bounced back from his bad game to go right back to his 90% completion rate. Amon-Ra's got the second most receptions per game in NFL history, through 100 games. And it's just they're definitely a unit. But I think this week is definitely I know that Lions fans love to make excuses, but it's definitely going to be an uphill battle for that Lions unit to stop Jordan Love in that offense, especially when I expect there to be quite literally zero pass rush. I mean, I'm just gonna say at halftime we're gonna get the Jordan Love 0 QB pressure, 0 sack stat, and it's just gonna be over. So give me the Packers.
So the Packers are the 3rd ranked offense in the NFL. The Lions are the 2nd ranked offense in the NFL right now. The Lions have the 3rd best run game in the NFL. The Packers have the 4th best run game in the NFL. I think this is going to be – everyone is kind of thinking shootout just because it's 2 high-powered offenses. But I think there's going to be a lot more running the football, and I think it actually goes under the 51.5.
Interesting.
But
divisional game's weird.
Yeah.
It is weird.
Also, the last 5 times they've played, I think they've gone under the last 5 times.
We haven't seen the Lions playing a kind of weird, chew clock type of game. That Chicago game was weird. They definitely took their foot off the gas when we're trying to get out of it, and then the second half they got bit for it. So that team was it was night and day the first and second half of that game. So I'm curious after watching the Lions second half on Thanksgiving how they're going to come out tomorrow. Because if they come out how they did in the second half, it's over.
Also, I'm just praying Jahmyr Gibbs gets benched. Bench this man. He's leaking the whole playbook. Like,
That
what a
was
liability.
crazy.
Get this guy off
That
the
was
team.
so funny. You could
There's no
dance
way that's
anywhere.
real.
Dance anywhere but in front of the plays, man.
There's no
What are we-
way that's real.
All it was like the running back protection, so it's not a big deal anyway,
Yeah.
but it's like, Jameer.
I don't even think.
Come
I
on
think
now.
that was. There's no way that was real. That was a joke. They did like an inside joke. There's no way that was real play calls behind them.
Yeah, it was very minimal. I mean, it's not going to affect anything in the game, but it's just kind of funny to see. Moving on to the 1 o'clock games, we got the Jaguars at the Titans. Real stunner here. Tennessee minus 3.5, over under 39.5.
Mac Jones is terrible. They just picked up.
He played really good last week, actually.
Who did they sign? I
I
saw an
mean,
article just saying the Jaguars signed a veteran quarterback, but I didn't click on it, so I don't know who they signed.
probably
Great
Gold
report
Niner.
in there.
Yeah.
I did half the work. I was expecting between the three of you, the other half to get picked up. I'll take the Titans, I guess. I don't know. The Jaguars' defense has actually been pretty decent lately. It seems like that could just be wrong, but it seems that way. So I don't know. I guess I'll take the Titans. This game's terrible. Mac Jones is terrible. Even if people say he played better recently, I don't believe it.
Well, I'm gonna come out and say Mac Jones has been playing better recently. He had a game last week, but according to Sports Illustrated right here, Trevor Lawrence is expected to be shut down for the rest of the season. So it looks like we're gonna see a lot more of Mac Jones here.
He's on IR. So yeah.
Thanks, P. Yeah, I don't know, man. Two terrible teams. The Jags, shit team. Tennessee, terrible team. So it's really, the toilet bowl here. But I'm gonna go Tennessee, just because they got their starting quarterback, which might not be that much better.
I wasn't trying to sound snappy, Connor. It's just he's on IR and there's only 4 weeks left in the year. That's all I was trying to say. I didn't mean to be sassy.
No,
I
we're
love
good. We're good.
Okay, okay.
The Jaguars signed a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Yeah, it was John Warford. I just looked it
Yep.
up.
Thanks,
Nice.
Pete, for the.
That's not news we need to talk about here.
Yeah.
No.
There's a lot of people.
That one we
There's
probably
a
could
lot-
have glossed over.
Yeah.
That's all right. I'm gonna try and get a game back here on Josh and Connor. I'm gonna take the Jags. Mac Jones showed a little bit of promise last week, and Will Levis is just so ridiculous with taking care of the football. It's actually absurd to watch this man like try to not commit a turnover. It's actually impossible. And Parker Washington had a little coming out game for the Jags, which was cool to see.
His favorite. Yep.
Yep. So
Mac's favorite target.
no Gabe Davis. He's kind of stepped into that. And then BTJ cut another long ball, as BTJ does. And Evan Ingram was ready to kill that Houston Texan that just got suspended 3 games. What was his name?
Aziz Shahir or something.
You see what
Shahir.
he just put on? So he got a 3-game suspension. He appealed it. NFL upheld it. And then he put on his Instagram a picture of the Joker, and he's like, "I'm the villain now." And he's like, "This guy's a psychopath."
Yeah. He's an actual psycho. Yeah.
Lock this man up. He deserves prison time
Yeah.
for that hit. But
Yeah.
and then
It's
putting a
crazy.
joke he did apologize on his Twitter, like a lawn, probably what his manager wrote for him and forced him to put out on his socials.
Literally.
3 days later, he's putting a picture of the Joker up, he's ready to just burn the whole NFL to the ground and massacre people on the field. That guy deserves prison, and I'm gonna take the Jags. I like a guy that's willing to fight for his team, and Evan Ingram.
Yeah.
He was ready to scrap.
I mean, I'm glad that someone showed life in that game. I'm going to go Titans. Let's keep it simple. I think the difference maker is going to be Nakeem Westbrook, and dude's been on an absolute tear, 5-6 touchdowns in the past 5 games.
8
It's
tutties
crazy.
in the last 8.
8 in the last 8. See, he's just eating.
Mm-hmm.
This Jags defense lets other people eat. The Jags are dead. The Titans are still exploring what they have with Will Levis. They're probably going to move. The Jags are. Trevor's on IR, Connor pointed out. It's season's over. I don't even know why Doug's in the building. I guess they're just doing him the courtesy of letting him coach out the year. Why? I don't know. People might be trying to show what they got on tape. I just don't think there's a lot of life left in this Jags team, and I think the Titans are still. They've been pretty rowdy the past few weeks, like competing with teams they should not. So,
Except
Titans.
last week when they just got absolutely murdered.
Yeah,
When we're down 28-0 in like 5 minutes into the game.
yeah. Westbrook
Moving.
King still caught 2 tutties.
He did.
Shot.
Yep, he got He's just such a fun name to say. Like,
Yeah.
And all he does is score tutties. It's like, other than that 1 week where he had like a 95-yard tutty, he just hasn't had like any yards to go with these
No,
games.
it's all
Just tutties.
touchdown.
Gotta respect it. Moving on, we got the Jets at the Dolphins. Dolphins are -6, over under 44.5.
I don't think I can. I don't know if I can pick
Sweep.
Rodgers to win another game
Sweep.
this year.
We got to start sweeping the Jets. We got to.
I'm going Tua and the Dolphins. Here.
I'm gonna sweep it too. Yeah, everyone on board.
Yep.
And this is gonna
Yeah.
be the 1 week the Jets win.
yeah, exactly.
That's just how it goes. But yeah, it's just sad. But I mean, the Dolphins have been playing good offensively, and I don't know. It's in Miami, so no cold, so they're fine.
No cold. They're good.
Yeah. All right, moving on. This is an interesting game. Falcons at the Vikings. Vikings are -6, over under 45.5.
This one is super interesting because we got 2 imploding teams. One of them keeps winning. So, I guess if Penix doesn't start, I'll take the Vikings to win because they're imploding, but they're still winning. So I guess that'll continue. It'll probably be an ugly game. If Cousins is starting, we'll probably see a couple more picks. I mean, if Penix starts, we'll probably see at least 1 pick. Vikings have decent defense, so I'll take the Vikings.
Bless you.
You guys go ahead. I got allergies.
Okay.
I can sub in. I'm gonna take Atlanta here. I'm still a believer in Atlanta. There's just so much talent on that team, and they just cannot put it together, especially defensive. I mean, either defensively or offensively. And honestly, offensively, it's all on Kirk. Like, you just got paid $200 million, and you can't throw one single touchdown in 3 weeks of football when you're like behind majority of those games is absolutely insane. I've been calling for Penix the last 2 weeks. I'm gonna continue calling for him. I mean, he can't really do much worse than Kirk. Kirk literally cannot move out there, and he's throwing the ball in slow motion. It's actually insane. This guy needs to be put in a nursing home, or just get him on a broadcast already.
Love
But
that.
I'm still a believer in the Falcons as a whole, and I think there's enough talent on that offense to put up points between Bijan, Drake London, Mooney. So give me Atlanta against the frauds of Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree here. I think there's a certain narrative out about Minnesota. Some of it I agree with, some of it I don't. Sam Darnold has been, according to the media, been playing terrible, but 6 out of his last 7 games, he's got a QB rating of more than 100. No picks in his last 3 games. He's quietly playing good football right now. And then obviously, like you just mentioned, Jake, Atlanta's kind of in shambles right now with Kirk Cousins. So I'm going to ride with the hot team here, which would be the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Vikings as well, just because Hawkinson's coming in fully loaded, like he's looking good again. Jettas is Jettas. Jordan Addison's consistently a part of the offense. I mean, you can talk bad about Sam all you want. The pieces are there. It's very reminiscent of the division rival Lions, and I think like there's just shades of that in both of these teams. They're just really explosive offenses, and same with the Packers. Like they're all just 3 great offenses going on. I think Minnesota is going to take advantage of a silly Falcons team, and we might even see Kirko get benched in the revenge game. He gets out of hand so crazy.
Alrighty, moving on. We got the Saints at the Giants. Saints are -4.5, over under 40.5.
I think I'm going Saints here. At this point, I think the Giants are just trying to play for the top pick, maybe take Shador. So I'll take the Saints. I think they're slightly a better team.
The Saints with Derek Carr at QB can actually do some stuff. Sorry, Connor. Go ahead.
You're good. I'm also on the Saints here. I think the Giants deserve whatever happens to him here after putting Danny Dimes at safety for the practice squad. So yeah, I'm not picking Giants the rest of the year probably, even though I don't really like New Orleans, but this week I do.
What just
I heard he picked up Drew Lock in practice.
Drew Lock looked so bad in that game.
Dude, yeah, you thought Will Levis was not protecting the ball? Go watch Drew Lock play football. That dude acts like he doesn't know what team he's on.
That Drew Lock was very bad at football. And I actually kind of thought, I was like, why are we starting DeVito? This is the math of the Giants franchise. Okay, Saquon Barkley will sign a contract right now for $12 million. Nah, he's not going to get that elsewhere. Let's let him go to our rivals, the Eagles, and possibly win MVP this year. And we're going to sign Drew Lock and we're going to sign Devin Singletary, both who aren't even going to play on our team. That's what they spent that $12 million on instead. It's actually insane.
Yep.
Like how?
Yeah.
I don't know how that's not talked about more. It's insane.
I know.
The Giants franchise.
Crazy.
Watching them on Hard Knocks was literally like they were playing fantasy football with their buddies, and they were the guys in the league that had no idea what was going on. They were drafting kickers in like the 3rd round. And then literally how they came up with that trade, on Hard Knocks, is he goes up to the guy and he's like, "Hey, you guys want this guy?" And they're like, "Yeah. What would you take us? Give us 2 firsts." And they're like, 2 thirds. He's like, "What about 2 seconds?" He's like, "I'll get back to you." And they did it. It's insane.
Yeah, it was the Brian Burns trade because he came from Carolina, so he knew.
Brian Burns has been good.
Yeah, that whole defense has really. I mean, the defensive line anyway.
The fact how some of these guys climb the coaching trees, it's insane. They
great.
end up in the positions they're in.
They must be good at interviews.
They must be really good at interviews, and they must be best friends or have dirt on all these guys to get in these positions.
I think it's the dirt thing. I think there's a
the
Diddy thing going on in the NFL. We haven't figured out yet.
I'm going New Orleans as well. I don't know if you picked yet, Jake, but I can't pick Drew Lock. So
I'm gonna take the Saints too. Yeah, I'll sweep it. The Saints are actually competent even without literally any receivers. MBS is wide receiver 1 over there. Taysom's done for a year or two. But Derek Carr's been putting together games, and they are
got a playoff shot? They still got a playoff shot, right? 7th seed maybe?
They're technically not eliminated, but yeah, they have 4 wins. So
so it's not likely. Yeah.
Not
Very
likely.
Moving on, we got the Panthers at the Eagles. Eagles minus 13 over under 45.5. Are we sweeping?
Sweep!
Yeah.
If Jeff was here, drunk Jeff definitely picks Carolina in this game.
What are the odds Jeff hops in drunk with multiple people yelling in the background and
Yeah.
15.
Who
then
you talking
takes
to?
5
last
minutes
week?
to actually get to a silent
Talking
room and then gives his picks.
Uh.
All right. Moving on. If you made it this far into the podcast, shout out you.
Shout out you.
Maybe we'll see you next week. Moving on, we got the Browns at the Steelers. Steelers are minus 6.5 over under 43.5.
This one should be easy, but it's a weird divisional game, so I don't know. I mean, I'm just still gonna pick the Steelers, but I don't feel great about it.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Cleveland. I think the Lord's going to deliver Jameis from his pick sixes, and they're going to get a bounce-back week here. So, yeah, give me Cleveland.
I'm on Pitt here. Until Jameis can take care of the football, I mean, that defense is just scary good. And although he did just play him tough literally 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but do you know where we are, Jake?
In Pittsburgh?
Gotham. We're in Gotham.
Oh, no.
The Terrifier of George Pickens is going to be unreal in Gotham. Oh, you're not. I thought you were still going. I'm going Steelers. I'm going Pittsburgh. I didn't know you had finished picking.
Yeah, I'm
My
on
bad.
Pittsburgh.
No,
You're good.
I say that because I was watching a George Pickens edit of how he does all the Terrifier from the movies.
Mm-hmm.
That dude's actually just a clown, but also the biggest menace I've ever seen because he backs it up with games like the Cincinnati game, and it's people are like, Russ is back. It's bro, Russ got carried by a dog is what happened.
Yeah, Steelers showed they had an offense last week too. I mean, they just
Yeah.
dropped 40. I mean, their defense also had a tutty, but I mean, they still dropped
Yeah.
44. So,
Yeah.
moving on, we got the Raiders at the Bucks. Bucks are -6.5, over under 46.5.
I like Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers here. I think the Raiders are basically just throwing to Bowers almost every play, and then maybe mix some Myers in here and there, but I like the Buccaneers.
Yeah, we didn't recap it, but the Buccaneers and Carolina game last week was pretty crazy, going to overtime. Bucky Irvin has fully taken the RB1 role over there, and he looks really good. So I'm gonna ride, yeah, Baker Mayfield, Bucky Irving, Chris Godwin, or no, it's Mike Evans, right? Godwin's out for the year. Yeah, Mike Evans. Yeah, I'm gonna take the hometown team here. Give me Tampa.
Your hometown.
I'm gonna be on the Bucks as well. Baker looked pretty awful against Carolina. I'm not gonna lie. He did clutch up in the end and let him back to a win. So I guess that's all that matters in the end. But he looked very bad in the first 3 quarters of that game. And Mike Evans does what Mike Evans does, and he absolutely owns Carolina. This dude has over 1,300 receiving yards against Carolina in his career, and like 15 touchdowns, 100 yards and a tutty. Death taxes and Mike Evans just dominating Carolina. It was one of my locks of the week. It was it was the free square. It was bingo. That was the freebie of the week. So
Yeah, we'll sweep it.
Cool.
I'm gonna agree with Connor. I think Bucky is a dog and changes games, or will be changing games moving forward now that they realize how much of a dog he is.
the real problem is Rachaad White is still in the game a lot, and also Sean Tucker vultures goal line carries. So that's the only concern really. But Bucky
But like not
is
last
flashing.
week though. Yeah, like last week was like the first time in the season because Bucky's been like working his way in the past like couple months, but like last week was like almost a coming out party type of vibe, and I would think he's getting like 80% of reps.
Bucky's terrible. If you have him in your dynasty, I would just drop him. Honestly. How are you?
Josh constantly playing the mind games for dynasty football.
This guy's a fiend. He wakes up in the morning like itching his neck, like instantly opens Dynasty, a sleeper.
I look at
First thing he
everyone's
does every
roster
morning.
3 times a day to try to find a trade.
Now we got the Seahawks at the Cardinals. Cardinals are -2.5, over under 44.5.
For the division, pretty much.
Yeah,
Huge game.
This one's a tough division game. Seahawks just beat them. So I think I will stick with the Seahawks, beating them again.
Yeah, like Josh said, this is a really tough game. I could see this one going either way. I'm a Kyler Murray guy, more so than a Geno guy. Although I will say that Seahawks offense has finally come together. JSN looks like a real threat in dynasty terms. I really wish I still had JSN. But yeah, give me Arizona here. I like the ground game they got, and then Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison looks good. So
The Cardinals are probably the most frustrating team to watch in the sense of they just have no trust in Kyler Murray. I was watching the Cardinals game in depth last week, and anytime it got to like 3rd and 10, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6, those are automatic throws. Like you throw the ball in those situations like 95% of the time. And it was draw play. Screen.
That's just the coach. Yeah.
And it's like you got Trey McBride, who's catching like 10 passes every game. Marvin, who's probably pretty underutilized. And it's like even Michael Wilson's like a solid receiver too. They got James Conner's good out of the backfield. Like you gotta put it in Kyler's hands and let him make a play. Like we're doing draws to James Conner for 3 yards on 3rd and 7s. It's brutal.
Yeah.
With that being said, I think Arizona's better than Seattle. And I'm going to take Arizona, but it's just frustrating to watch them, and it kind of makes me happy I don't have Kyler on my dynasty team anymore just because the system he's in. But
yeah. No, I agree that Arizona's system with that Eagles coach, it's definitely got shades of like they control the clock, so they don't want to – they just do a lot of weird stuff to like milk clock and just stay in the game until the end and do their – versus when he first started. Kingsbury came in and they were running air raid. Like it was just the opposite scheme of what they're doing now. So like Kyler's kind of had a whiplash switching around. I'm gonna go with Seattle here. I think that Geno, while being very trash through his whole career, is like kind of doing something different a little bit this year. I feel like especially in the big games, he's not backing down. Like I was saying a few weeks ago, every time I say Geno, I look at the screen. It's a tie game. It's overtime. Game's on the line. I go, Geno doesn't win these. And you know what has been doing this year? He's been winning them. So Geno wins these. I'm gonna start saying that because he does. He's been proving me wrong time and time again. I'm gonna say it. Geno wins.
Love it. We got the Bills at the Rams. Bills are -4, over under 49.5.
Yeah, the Bills are rolling. I don't see it getting slowed down until they see Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. So, gotta stick with the Bills when they're rolling.
Yep, Bills are in midseason form. They just embarrassed the 49ers. I don't think they're going to embarrass the Rams.
Rams.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to embarrass the Rams, but I think Buffalo definitely wins.
This is just one of those weird games that the Bills are going to drop.
I feel it.
And
Pick the Rams.
Rams at home in a situation where they really need to win. Their offense is so high-powered and really if they play up to their standards, can compete with any team any given week. Rams are sneaky good. Puka's just on an absolute – he didn't really do anything last week, but is just on an absolute tear. Probably one of the scariest receivers in the NFL. Cooper Kupp will just find a way to catch 10 balls every game for no reason. Literally would not be a relevant, like, solid player on, like, any other team in the NFL, in my opinion. He's just a slot merchant and is, like, best friends with Stafford, so he gets the ball. Kyren Williams is really good, too. And I think the key to their game is maintaining the clock, keeping Josh Allen on the sidelines, and getting Kyren going. And I think the Rams find a way to win this one at home.
Nice. That's a nice free game for Connor.
Yeah, I had a very similar feeling. Like Rams normally win these, but it's like the Rams are a team that are kind of reminding me of the Niners, where they're just like, I feel like they're gonna have a lot of changes coming because they just got a little too old too fast. That O line is the worst O line I've ever seen like start in the NFL. I'm gonna take the Bills and like Ed Oliver to have 7 sacks.
Jared Verse is an absolute monster as well. Remember Jared Verse's name in this game.
Florida State prospect.
He is so scary.
They also got a Florida State D tackle on the other side. What was his name? Fisk or something.
Pain me to pick against my glorious MVP candidate, Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, that's weird, man. Is that play? We didn't even talk about that play where he threw it to Coop, and that wasn't even designed. Coop just pitched it back to him.
We heard Chris Collinsworth yap about it too much already.
Yeah,
he found a way to work Patrick Mahomes into it.
Dude, yeah.
All roads lead. Like when Connor talks, all roads lead to the Colts. When Josh and I talk, all roads lead to the Packers. When Chris Collinsworth talks, all roads lead back to Patrick Mahomes. It's insane. It's actually insane. But it's true. It's really funny, though. All right, moving on. We got the Bears at the Niners. Niners are -4, over under 43.5.
Yeah, the Bears are coming off of the 3 most heartbreaking losses probably in NFL history in a row. The Bears are better than people think they are. They got a great defense, and the 49ers are completely collapsing. They just lost both of their starting running backs. I guess Isaac Guerrero is going to be starting. So
4th fastest player in the combine for all positions, which never happened.
He's a big boy as well.
Dude's electric.
He is. He looks like he reminds me of Keaton Mitchell last year when Keaton Mitchell was having some crazy explosive plays, and then he disappeared and never existed again.
Well, he tore like 3 ligaments in his knee, but yeah.
He's the second running back ever to be in his weight class that's ran a 4.3 in the history of the NFL.
It's crazy. Yeah, he's juiced.
265, I think.
He's 265.
I'll fact check it right now. He's heavy though.
Sure, we're not talking about a D lineman. That's heavier than like Derrick Henry.
Never mind, I lied. He's 220.
Rindo's got to be like 210.
He's two.
Still.
Was he
He's
220?
220.
He's juiced.
I just
He's
completely
juiced.
lied.
He's juiced. He's juiced.
I think I misread his stat.
Pick the Bears. Just pick
But-
the Bears already. You.
I'll take Chicago.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
bad.
Guys just said you might have had Christian McCaffrey's handcuff in fantasy, but did you have his handcuffs handcuffed? I did.
Handcuff. Third. He's the fourth handcuff, right? Like, because Eli Mitchell's out for the year before the season even started. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good. No, that was great context. Yeah, like you guys just said, there is no reason to be out on the 49ers when you got a guy like Garendo back there. So we'll see what he can do. He's taken a few snaps so far this year. Nothing crazy, but he's also a really good pass catcher too. I don't think McCaffrey going out is going to be as big a deal as everyone else thinks. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the 49ers versus the Bears here, right? And Chicago just fired their head coach. So I'm going to ride 49ers here to feel pretty good about it.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah, I'm on San Fran as well. I think Garendo's going to go for over a hundo.
Yep.
I think the Bears, although typically after you fire a coach, I feel like the team really rallies, and like
They really
a
do
lot of
rally.
times they
Not
do
in
get a dub.
Chicago.
But literally, if the Niners lose this game, shockingly, they're still not out of the playoffs if they lose this game. But they got to win this game.
I'm on the
And-
Niners as well. Sorry.
Yeah, they're just very beat up too, which sucks. I mean, Fred Warner's doesn't suck because I hate the Niners, and I actually do hope they lose this game. But I just know the inevitability of the NFL. Go ahead, P.
I'm just gonna go Niners and just say because the Bears have beaten themselves every game this year. I don't know if someone else has beaten the Bears this year because they play every game so close and they look so like in it, and then they lose because of whatever they do, and they just find a way to lose games, and that's what's gonna happen. And also, I'm just gonna note this: San Fran's one of those teams that Taylor, whoever he is, he's like the running back 6. He scores
Former
a
Packer.
touchdown this week.
Former Packer.
Guaranteed
Patrick
touchdown
Taylor.
out of that dude. Yeah, guaranteed touchdown out of Patrick Taylor because it's the Niners, and they're not just going to give Garendo 80% of the share because that's not how they do things.
We've already kind of seen it because Garendo did get a start this year, and Patrick Taylor was very involved.
Yep.
Did you
And
take
he's
the
good
Niners?
too. He is good.
Yeah. Did you shake the Niners, Jake?
Yep, I'm on the Niners as well.
Yes,
Josh
I
is
love
the
this.
lone bear.
Soloing the Bears. I mean,
I feel great about this game. We should do a side bet or something.
Sure, I'm in.
let's make it worth 10 more points than normal so you lose 10 games if you.
Take 20. 20.
Addy, moving on. Sunday Night Football, Carrie Underwood game of the week. Good game. Chargers at the Chiefs. Chiefs are -3.5. Over under 42.5.
Oh, this one's tough. If the Chiefs didn't have some voodoo magic on their side, I would say I feel great about picking the Chargers. But I don't feel great about it. But I'm still gonna pick the Chargers, I think. I don't feel great about it. I don't know. The Chiefs will probably win in some stupid way for no reason, but whatever.
Yeah, this is going to be the third game in 2024 that they meet. Technically, they met last season in the playoffs, January 7th. Every time they play, it's a close game. But yeah, I'm with Josh here. I like the Chargers in this one. Don't love it. I think the refs are always on the Chiefs' side in every single game. That you can always clip something up with the Chiefs refs. But I think they dropped this one to the Chargers.
I'm going to be on the Chiefs here. Very big point of emphasis is Lad McConkey's gearing towards not playing. J.K. Dobbins is on IR, obviously, as well. QJ has just proven time and time again that he's just so inconsistent. I mean, if there's a game for him to break out, this is going to be the game where they need him the most. I think Josh Palmer will be the better bet in this situation. I mean, I don't mind betting on QJ either. Just off the high play upside, he could get his yards in one catch. But I feel like Josh Palmer might get fed here. And the Chiefs are just inevitable. Chiefs are going to win this game with the Chargers missing some key offensive pieces. And let's not forget the Chiefs' defense is just electric.
I am not picking the Chiefs the rest of the year. I don't think. I picked the Raiders last week, and I think I picked the Panthers the week before that, and they were both close games. And this team is better than both of those teams. The Chiefs are just weird. They're often used to be. They got Pacheco back. He touched the ball 7 times, so they're working him nice and slow. Noah Gray has more touchdowns than Kelsey. It's just like it's wild. It's a wild time to be a Chiefs guy. I think the Chargers defense is gonna not be what the Panthers or the Raiders defense was, and there's not gonna be room for this one touchdown squeaking away at the end. I actually think the Chargers win this by at least 10. And we finally get the expose that the whole country has been waiting for, and it's going to happen on prime time, and it's going to be lovely and glorious. I can't wait.
Mahomes also just doesn't lose on prime time. Anyway, I'm riding solo on 4 games already this year against all you guys. So this is going to be a big week for me to make up some ground, or a big week for me to chase P in the beer mile. But regardless, is what it is. Hey, I'm excited, and I like my picks so far this week, so I feel confident. Moving on to Monday Night Football, last game of the week, we got Cincy at Dallas. Cincy's -5, over under 49.5.
Yeah, another big game by Joe Burrow here, and this time I think they actually get the win. So I think the Bengals. It's easy.
Yeah, I said it earlier in the podcast. Every time the Bengals play a competent opponent, they end up losing. But Dallas is not a competent opponent at this point in the season. So give me Cincy.
I'll take Cincy here as well. I mean, it's Joe Burrow versus Cooper Rush. That's the ultimate decision in my mind for why. Although I was kind of tempted to pick the Cowboys. CD's also pretty banged up, which is their key top offensive weapon. So I'll ride Cincy.
I just don't think that Cincy's a winning football team. They're like Chicago. Like, it's like no matter the scenario, some teams find a way to win, some find a way to lose. And Dallas is playing good football. I mean, you say not competent. I mean, they beat the Commanders, who are borderline running. Like, that's a competent team. That's a great offense. I'm going to go Dallas here. I think Rico's going to have an absolute unit of a game against that Bengals defense. CD, no CD. Cooper Rush actually looks good too. Like you watch him throw the football, he's hitting 20-yard. Like he's got every.
He
got
loves
deep
the
ball.
tight end.
He's just as a quarterback, QB. So I Dallas to squeak out another one. I was on them when they beat Washington.
I don't hate that at all. I think Dallas has shown they can compete, and honestly, the players are fighting for Mike McCarthy to stay too. The players seem to really are rallying around Mike McCarthy, in the media. Because usually when you're a losing football team, when you had the expectations they had coming into the year, and you're doing what you're doing, usually the coach is out and the whole team's against you. It's kind of opposite, which is interesting and says a lot about McCarthy too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not McCarthy's biggest fan by any means, even though he did get us a Super Bowl. His play calling infuriates me, even with the Cowboys.
He doesn't deserve an extension, even if they win out. No extension should be given, but he's a solid coach.
Yeah, Super Bowl champion coach. That's it for Week 14 in the books, boys. Anything else we want to add? Anything else we want to touch on before we wrap up the pod here?
I do a little something. In light of Bryce Young finally playing some good football, I wanted to ask the pod a couple questions. I got 3 quarterbacks, and I want you to tell me to keep Bryce Young or set quarterback. We're going to start with Kirk Cousins.
Oh, Bryce.
Bryce.
Can I
Is
ask
that just for now or for the
Is it to win this week or build a franchise?
For the rest of the season.
Rest of the season? Bryce.
Kirk?
Right.
Kirk's terrible.
That's
I'm on Bryce too, so interesting. We got one on. Is that one on Kirk?
Yeah, one Kirk.
Okay.
Just putting it in spreadsheet.
Yep. Analytics.
Derek Carr.
Derek Carr.
Derek Carr.
I gotta say Carr too, just because he's been in the playoffs. He's got that experience. He's probably getting my team to the playoffs.
Interesting. Okay, and I know he's hurt. I know he's not playing the rest of the season. But Deshaun Watson.
Bryce.
Dude, Deshaun has been I haven't seen good football out of Deshaun since like 2019. I don't know how this dude's still around, man.
Yeah, I'll take Bryce.
Come on, Brett.
He's
Just
he
from
was
a
money.
Jake,
just from a legal aspect.
I don't need the lawyers calling me up.
Yeah, I'm
Would
not
you
trying-
rather? Okay, this is one more. I know he's technically not playing again, but Daniel Jones or Bryce Young?
Danny Dimes?
Bryce.
He said
think I'm
Danny.
Daniel with this one.
You guys are on Daniel. I mean, if we're talking about like the last 3 games out of Bryce, like there's only 4 games left of the season. Like, give me the dude that just cooked 3 games in a row versus a guy who got cut 2 weeks ago. I mean,
He looked really
I
good.
don't. Now I'm confused by the question because I thought we are talking the rest of the season, and then you guys just both wrote Danny. It's like how?
Like Danny Dimes, bro.
Just like him?
White.
Big Danny Dimes guy.
Yeah.
But
Dual threat quarterback. Get him in there. Run some read option.
I hear you.
Cool. That was fun. That's all I had though.
All right.
I have a little update. I downloaded a couch to 5K app so I can start prepping for the beer mile. It's almost a lock. I mean, I'm not a Vegas odds, but my odds of running the beer mile are the same as Travis Hunter to win Heisman minus 10,000. Lock me in.
I don't know. With it, the thing is, you only have to catch up to Jeff, and Jeff is a big wild card.
I'm 10 games back though, and there's only. I mean, like, yeah, we picked through the playoffs and stuff, but like 10 games, and like I just have this inherent like I'm picking
I
dogs
think
all the
like
time.
15 to 20 games up on Josh at one point. Now we're tied. So.
All right, I like your optimism.
Pete, you got
Anyway,
You want some strategy right now, P? I'll give you some
Yeah.
advice. Get
Yeah.
in the group chat right now while Hefe's hammered, and tell him to make his picks.
Yeah.
That's the strat, and you'll probably
He's
get at
gotta
least
make the
2
picks
games
before
back
they go.
this week. You just got to catch him at bad, like the worst possible time. Just catch him when he's drinking, when he's making his picks, and there's a legitimate chance you can make this come. 10 games is nothing. If
Should we
Hefe
read
goes
off-
rogue 1 week, you could be back in it.
Let's read off the records real quick, just for context. So me and Josh are both 127-68. Tied, or I guess in second place would be Jake, 120-75, and then Jeff's 112-83, and then Big P 102-93. So yeah, just 10 games. I think that's very possible, especially when we're talking about Jeff here.
Okay. Yeah, we were talking about me too. Like that's the issue.
You can't be. He's crazy. Like you just said, Dallas is a competent team, and I'm just like,
I mean, they are. They just beat Washington.
This is why you're running the beer mile.
But last week picking the Raiders against the Chiefs and then the Panthers against the Chiefs, those two. That's where I'm at. That's why I'm here. And I literally just said I'm not picking the Chiefs the rest of the year. Like comments like that are why I'm in.
Alrighty, anybody
That's
got
all.
anything else? Last call.
Last call.
we
Alrighty.
should have a in-person pod coming up soon, right?
Have a what?
In-person pod.
Maybe. We were talking about maybe doing one for the beer mile if we're all together.
I like
We
that.
just have to coordinate something, and we'd also have to figure out a place to film it and get some mics set up and stuff. But
Do it at lunchtime.
it'd be cool if we could rent out a studio somewhere and do it there, but I don't know what the
You
best
got access
alternative.
to. You
We
might have
could
to.
we could go to Dave and Buster's and get a karaoke room for now.
That
Run
might actually
around,
be electric. We would just
run
have
around
to...
the room 10,000 times.
Yeah, I don't know how we would do that. We'd have to figure out audio and stuff too, but that's a topic for another time. We'll figure it out. That'd be
Topic
cool to
for
do
another
it sometime. Or when we
Yeah.
make this our full-time job eventually, boys.
Yeah.
We'll have our own little building set up, and we got the podcast studio good to go.
Oh, like the McAfee show. Yeah.
Sweet. Well, thank you guys for watching. As always, if you're not following the Twitter or the TikTok, make sure you guys follow those. We'll try and get posting on those. We'll get our locks of the week out. And if you're not subbed to the pod and you made it this far, click the sub button. What are we doing here? Get those 44 subs up to 45. Let's see if we can get to 50 by the end of the season. Get some
God,
traction here. We're getting decent views on the pod. I mean, we're not. Whatever. I mean, it's regardless, we're having fun. That's what matters. And
We're trying.
we might pop off one day, or we might just never, which is fine either way. But hey,
What came, the chicken or the egg? Who knows? Same thing.
appreciate everyone watching anyway. Love you guys, and we will see you guys next week. Peace.
See you.